Are we able to see IFRS 16 and lease? Right. So let's understand one thing. What is lease? Okay. Lease typically is a rent, taking on rent. Now I can take the tractor on rent for 1 hour, or I can book Ola cab for 1 day. Now these small transactions really don't matter much. They go as a rent income and rent expense. The issue comes especially when the long-term contracts are done. And many times the documents and the facts can be different. Okay. Now IFRS 16 has tried to overcome some of the limitations of the legacy standard IAS 17, particularly when the presentation aspect was getting missed out. What is that? We will study. Okay, what is that? We will study. The standard is frankly not very difficult, but the wording can create confusions. Then we need to understand from the leaser's angle and lessee's angle, okay, how the treatment should be. Then there will be some people here who already know the lease standard as it was before, or it is currently going on, but not IFRS 16. This standard quite a lot can be understood by common sense also. So we should not make it a very complex, structured, formulated, etc. It is all substance based, like all IFRS. Okay. The first thing, when I started teaching IFRS in 2010, as early as 2010, somebody asked me, sir, what is hire purchase and what is installment? I said, look, we had been studying that in past in our accounting. Now you forget these terminologies, because these terminologies don't matter in accounting, hire purchase or installment. Broadly speaking, you will have to differentiate between whether you control the asset for full useful life or substantially full useful life or not. Okay. Based on that, the treatment will differ. All right. Based on that, the treatment will differ. And based on that, we will classify whether it is a finance lease or operating lease. And then how the new standard from the lessee's point of view has literally equated the two things. All right. Whenever we study any standard, we must understand the scope of it. Okay. Lease includes the right of use of asset, and even in a sublease. But the exploration leases, okay, that is mines, gases, oils, they are very special industry, kept away. Biological assets, agriculture, IS 41, kept aside. Service concession arrangement, IFRIC 12, kept aside. This is, if you recollect, this is called BOT or BOT, build, own, operate, transfer, or build, own transfer, build, operate transfer, etc. Then licenses of intellectual property, which are under IFRS 15. They are not under IFRS 16. Then intangible items like motion pictures, video recording, they are under 38. Now under 38, other than these items, you can and you should apply IFRS 16. Then a very important point where questions are asked. IFRS 16, one may not apply if it is short-term lease or low value asset. How do we take an example? Let me give you an example. Let's understand lease. Let's differentiate it between finance lease and operating lease. Then let us look at it from the point of view of lessor and lessee. Do you know who is lessor and who is lessee? Who is lessor? Anybody, please? Who takes on rent or gives on rent?
Gives on rent.
Gives on rent.
Gives on rent. Are you sure?
Yes.
Have a look here.
The owner of the asset.
Lessor means who lets the property to another, a landlord. Okay. So one who gives on rent. So lessor gives on rent and lessee takes on rent. So who pays the rent?
Lessee.
Lessee. And who receives the rent?
Lessor.
So he receives and he pays. Okay. Then let us say the useful life of the asset is 10 years and rent period is also 10 years. Then what has really happened? The asset is sold. The asset is sold. Therefore, it's a finance lease. And if let's say it is 5 years or 7 years, then it's an operating lease. So that is really a rent. So in our layman's terminology, finance lease is buying on installment. And operating lease means basically renting for a specific period, which can be not equal to useful life or not equal to substantially useful life. So for example, 25 years is the life, estimated life, and rented for 23 years. This is again finance lease, because the estimate of life 23 and 25, who knows what happens. Okay. Now there can be some tricks which get played. Some tricks which get played, which in substance show that it is given and taken on rent, but actually it is a sale. So let us look at some kind of tricks which are used. Right? You can spend 1 minute to read all these and these three. 5 plus 3. Okay, spend a minute to read these 8. I will start talking only after you have read that. Because after reading, you have to ask questions. So, for example, I jokingly say that if you go in front of a child and tell him that here are the chocolates and you have an option to eat. No, that's not an option. He is anyway will eat. Why child? Even we will eat. Similar way, there many times there are contracts made. Life is 25 years, rent period is 10 years, and at the end of the rent period, the asset can be bought by the leasee for 100 rupees. Now, it is nothing but, see, the seller is bound to recover the full money. The leaser is bound to recover the full money. So he will take the consideration in such a way that present value of all the 10 years rent plus 100 rupees, let's say, is equal to the fair value or market price, sort of. So that is amounting to sale, finance lease. Then lease term is major part of economic life. We talked about it. Or present value of lease payments are substantially equal to fair value of the asset. So what's happening is we take the substantially fair value. Now the other party, whether they are wanting it for less period or more period, you don't care. Specialized assets. These I have experienced in Crompton Greaves. We used to tell the suppliers to manufacture a tool based on which we can make a component. The design of the tool is given to them. Now, when he starts manufacturing, we tell him, look, we are not sure whether it will work or not. And in future, if the design is changed, we may have to requirement of a new tool. So we will only rent it for 3 years. He says, but the life is 10 years. We say, sorry, we want to rent it only for 3 years. Now, he says, okay, anyway, it's a specialized assets. So I cannot sell or rent it to anybody else. And hence, I will recover the full money in 3 years itself. So specialized asset. This happens in airlines also. Nowadays, of course, many of the aeroplanes are uniform. This used to happen even in the handsets also. Okay. So specialized assets, if only leasee can use, then as good as the control is gone, because leaser cannot do anything even after the return period. I mean the lease rent period completion. Then there are indicative situations. That is cancellation by leasee and losses borne by leasee. So in that case, anyway, he is paying the full consideration. Or fair value fluctuations of residual value, they will accrue to leasee. Okay. Then leasee can continue the lease for a secondary period for a lower than market rate. For example, an asset of 100 crores with a life of 10 years, but the period of rent is only 5 years, and the rent is such that whose present value is almost 100 crores for recovered within 5 years itself. Let's say 22 crores or 25 crores per annum. So all 100 crores are recovered. Plus, you have the right to continue the lease for secondary period for, let's say, 1 lakh rupees per annum as against 25 crore. So that is as good as, the control is transferred, the full consideration is received. So all the risk and rewards, when they are recovered, that amounts to the finance lease. And therefore, finance lease, practically, what you do is you record the sale in the books of the leaser. Okay. So we are talking about leaser only. Okay. Whereas in an operating lease, what leaser is bound to do is to show it as a rent income. Show it as a rent income. Okay. Show it as a rent income. Okay. Now, this is something which should be decided based on substance. Okay. Should be decided based on substance. Is this slide clear to you? Do you all need any further explanation on this slide?